what I wanted to talk about, and I have no idea how to form this question, but reading your book, I was very curious about your cosmology, and you mentioned reincarnation and things
Mhm.
before, and that's just something that's always fascinated me. And we talked just seconds ago about the way some of your poems and your books have sort of presaged events, kind of. And there's just
Yeah.
some grand mystery in the world that I feel like poets and just artists in general tap into, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know, and I don't know what happens when we die, And
Right.
so what do you think? Like, what is your cosmology of the world? Like, what is existence? I don't know how to ask this question, but I'm
Yeah,
curious to
yeah,
hear what you think
that's
about
that's the
life.
first time I've been asked that in a literary interview or any interview. But well, first of all, I would say get God Song because basically, for better or worse, I kind of have a lot of that has been based on the Gita, on the
Hmm.
Bhagavad Gita, which is in turn the quintessence of the Upanishads, which are in turn the earliest metaphysical questings of the Indic civilization predating the Buddha. That's just where I come from,
Hmm.
I got momentum from a past life. I've been doing this. I was like drawn to that stuff when I was still a preteen. You know what I'm saying? So clearly, I do believe that, even though I know that rationally, you
Hmm.
know, who knows? We just turn into nitrogen or whatever. But that's the body, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I don't necessarily know any of that stuff. In that sense, I guess I'm an agnostic but that's almost like a form of humility, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
You could die and then show up and then you're in hell with all this fire going everywhere because you didn't believe the right thing. And it's kind of like, wow, that they turned out to be right. They turned out to be right. Who knows? Nobody knows. And in fact, there's one of the earliest Vedic hymns from the Rig Veda called the Nasadya Sukta, which you can look up. It's literally one of the first expressions of just this agnostic doubt about. They literally say only the gods. They say what happens. What happens, this, blah blah blah. Only the gods know, unless they don't know, which is almost something you never find in
Yeah.
religious scripture, where they're
Hmm.
like, unless they don't know, who knows. It's a very it really prevents you from becoming a zealot about anything,
Hmm.
religion or politics. So what do I know? What is my cosmology? Uh, Probably, I definitely believe in reincarnation for sure. Um, and that's one of the central things. I do believe in karma in its original, again, as it's described in God's song. And I also believe that as a soul, and we all of us as souls are, or selves, I guess, are in this process of uniting with our origin, going
Hmm.
back to the source, and that it's difficult. We're like salmon trying to swim upstream, right? And so, yeah, we're going upstream against our passions, our desires, our 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 ignorance, and we go upstream against that, trying to get back to the source. So this is the first of the letters to myself in my next incarnation. Hello again, from who you were before. Hello before to who I'll be again. I think we both knew this was going to be awkward, and not just grammatically. I wanted to write you a note to familiarize you with the controls. But the body is a vehicle. The soul relearns how to drive by crashing into other bodies. This is what they call wisdom. And by they, I mean fools like us. And by wisdom, I mean, like Plato, memory. What I love here, poems and women mostly. I know you can't remember, but they were worthy of my love because they fooled me into wisdom using pleasure. If you are reading this, I am already dead. If you are reading this, I am already living. Stranger, I have no advice for you. I only wrote this because I was lonely and wanted someone to talk to, even if it was only myself. Why do we write anything, if not to pass along a valediction from the echo whose echo we are? If not to say to the echo we expect to become, hello, hello, hello. Thank you.
Awesome. That was a great way to end it. Thanks so much. And I love that line. That was one of the ones I pulled out. The line about they fooled me into wisdom using pleasure. What a great line that is.
That's what poetry ideally does, I guess.
Yeah, it really is. I think that might be one of the best definitions of poetry I've heard.